Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today we have Tamara Wolfe doing a wonderful presentation on the momentum. Keeping the momentum going, which is, oh gosh, I had it. Sorry about that. The power of decision and the key to building momentum. Tamara Wolfe is a certified life coach and speaker and teacher and owner of Full Spectrum Living, living life by design, not by default. For over 30 years, Tamara has been studying and teaching personal development, success principles in the role of therapist, life coach, mentor, and leader in the top direct selling company. She has been helping professionals and entrepreneurs build their dreams and accelerate their results and create richer, more fulfilling lives. Tamara holds an master in dance movement therapy, a certification as a life mastery coach. She offers inspiring workshops to groups, organizations, companies, as well as transformational, in depth coaching programs that help clients achieve new heights of success, meaning, and aliveness. She's an avid student of neuroscience and incorporates some of her latest research into coaching and training. Tamara's loves sports, the arts, family and friend time, traveling, and adventure. And today she will be presenting the power of decision, the key to building momentum.
Awesome. Thank you, Christina. And you know what? You all answered the question and we see the power of decision, so we're done. No. Amazing to see the decisions that have been made and the energy that was generated and the change that happened in your life. And so today I'm going to be increasing your awareness even more about even the small decisions that we're making each day, raising your awareness of bringing that into more of the consciousness and have you be more proactive rather than just reactive in decision making and or just on automatic pilot. And so you made a decision. You've made many decisions already today. You decided to be here. Good job. You were exposed to all the people that were sharing different things. You made a decision to lean into the question. I'm going to ask you to lean into another decision in a moment, but I want to highlight the fact that did you know that we actually make 35,000 decisions a day? 35,000. It's incredible. And so we want to be more proactive and be recognizing the power of those decisions and how it impacts our lives minute by minute and then day by day and then throughout the year. And I just want to applaud you. Some of you, all of you, made pivotal decisions that weren't easy necessarily, right? They're not always easy. But in order to have us move forward and build momentum, we got to make those decisions. Otherwise, we get stuck. And I'm going to get into that in just a moment. So I'm going to talk about decisions within decisions. First of all, your decision to be here. And then I'm going to have you step into, most of you know, I do a little teeing up that I do as I get ready for a workshop and presenting. And it has to do with decision. And it's my 3 T's. So the first T is that you're going to tune in. You're going to choose and decide, you're going to tune in, and you're going to decide that you're going to get a golden nugget today, at least one. You probably already did listening to other people, but you're going to have the intention and decide in this moment that I'm going to tune in and I'm going to get at least one golden nugget today, because life is short and your time is precious. You're here for a reason, so listen in. And then the next T is to turn up the volume on it. You're going to lean in even more. Certainly, you're going to probably hear something you've heard before. And what happens is our brain tries to conserve energy and it goes, kind of lean back like I've got this. I'm going to have you lean in because you're here as a different person every day and you're going to hear something different. So go ahead and turn up the volume. And the last T is to be open to what I call transformational willingness. Like, oh, what does that mean? It could be an aha, something pivotal that really could shift something in your personal life or your business life that you'll hear today from someone, from me, from the material, from yourself. So tune into what you're feeling as you're going through as well. So before I step into the PowerPoint, I'm actually going to engage you a little bit, and it's invitational. I always say things are invitational. And if you're able to stand up, I'm going to have you stand up. If not, you can watch, and I'll kind of be partly in. So we're going to stand up. And What I want you to do, I'm just going to give you instruction. You're going to I'm going to have you slowly be near your chair. I'm going to move my thing back. You're going to be near your chair and you're going to slowly lower. So I'm just going to tell you. So go ahead and just bend your legs a little bit. I'm sorry, you can just see my torso here. Bend them a little bit more like you're getting ready to sit down. We're doing squats this morning, getting closer to your chair, getting lower. Now hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Okay, sit down. All right. This time, go ahead and stand up one more time and sit down. What was better for you? This is where we're going today. We can either belabor our decision making or we can move along to build some momentum. So let me pull up my PowerPoint here. And we're going to step into, hopefully everybody's okay. Their legs are okay. Good job for those of you who leaned in and are all tuning in here with that. So the power of decision, the key to building momentum. How many of you would love momentum? You want to keep moving, right? We're not here to stagnate. And so decisions are a huge part of how we move forward. So today I'm going to go through 6 different pieces. The first one is recognizing the power of decisions in building momentum and acceleration. We're going to talk about why some of us make decision making difficult and how actually we need to teach this more as a skill. It's a skill to learn. Why is decision making crucial to move forward with goals? The traits of good decision makers. You can improve being a decision maker, how thoughts and vision, clarity of where you're going really relates to decision making. And then what are the steps to become a great decision maker? I'm just going to pause for a moment and say, Christina, because I can't see everyone and I don't know time-wise, you can pop in and let me know when the last 5 minutes comes. You can verbally just say, Tamara, you have 5 minutes. Would that be good?
Yep, you got it.
Okay, I appreciate it. All right, so every person who's made improvement in our world has been a person that had a decisive mind. So let's think about the Wright brothers. The Wright brothers decided, no matter what, that they were going to teach and figure out how to fly. Edison decided that he was going to figure out how to bring about light, the electric light bulb. They made those decisions. So it had to be clear and decided mind that helped them build the momentum to go forward. We're going to talk about some of the other qualities that are mixed in there. When you're making decisions, you also got to be a person who's willing to fail. And we'll get into that in a moment. So the quality of our lives, truly listening to everyone, the quality of our lives is determined by the decisions we make or don't make. You might pause for a moment and think about, we all have decisions that we were like, darn, I wish I had even made that decision. Not making a decision is a decision. So you probably have things you can look back at and go, shoot, that was a decision that really would have had impact. So that's why we're here today, to really increase the awareness of what is it that we have already inside us that helps us be better decision makers so we can make them more quickly and efficiently. Leonardo da Vinci actually said that inactivity actually saps the vigor of our mind. It clutters it, it stalls it. So the power of decision truly is that it brings order to your mind. During COVID, we know, and I'm hearing, the moms at home dealing with all of it, when we've got lots of stuff going on in our mind, conflict and confusion, and our minds are cluttered, we're having to make decisions, kind of quickly. And when we do, it brings order to our mind and more calm, and it actually decreases stress. So we want to learn in the midst and pay attention daily to what are those little decisions so we can clear the mind and bring it more order so we can think more clearly to then open up the energy and the openness to take the steps to move forward. The key piece in all of this is that once we make a decision, it clears the energy, it opens the field. I talk about increasing. I'm a dancer and I'm an athlete. We want to unclutter the flow of our energy. We want the breath to go through. We want everything to be flowing forward. And when we haven't made a decision, it clogs up the works. So when we can make the decision that's at hand and make them quickly, things move more quickly and therefore the momentum builds. So why are some of us at times or on an ongoing basis, you may be thinking for yourself, am I a good decision maker? And again, it's a skill to learn, and it's actually something that Bob Proctor talked about, and I agree. It's a skill that should be taught in school, how to make good decisions. Now, the interesting thing is we were born as good decision makers. We were born living from our instincts. We were hungry, we would cry, we would reach out, we'd make the decision to get the help. We were going from our instincts like the animals do. Now, then as we started getting older, we started getting taught that you need to look out beyond you at the circumstances, like how much money in my bank account, that determines my decision to move forward in a particular thing. Or my education level determines where I can go in my life. So we tend to then look outside ourselves. And some people, especially, we have some young parents here, we want to teach our children how to make small decisions safe within the boundaries that's safe, but help them make decisions early on so they learn the confidence of and the consequences of what their decisions can make. Because if we're overbearing and we make all the decisions for our kids along the way, when they get to be adults, they don't know how to make those decisions and they start asking other people. And we know as that happens, some people get to the end of their lives and they're like, I don't even feel like I really lived my life, or I feel like I've been living someone else's life, because they've been looking outside themselves and asking everyone else, asking the masses, how to make a decision. So indecision is actually a decision. It's a decision to fail, and it slows our progress. Indecision mutes our lives. We're not able to live our full, flourishing lives if we're not making some of those decisions that can be impactful, that are crossing your path all the time. And I love the energy that just came from that beautiful exercise of all of you sharing. There have been life-changing decisions. All of you, life-changing decisions. Your life is more what I call 3D and vibrant now because you stepped into something. Decisions aren't always easy, but you did it. You were courageous and took the step. Otherwise, you're going to live that muted life. And also what happens when we don't make a decision, you vacillate and you go into ambivalence, and it really takes a toll on your self-esteem. So if you find yourself, this is an interesting thought, if you find yourself having really laborious, what I call laborious thinking, just things are churning around, it really comes down to there's a decision to be made. And the decision can be stop for a moment. I'm not going to stay in this. Stop and think, what decision can I make in this moment that will free up this energy that's tightened in my head with all these different things that I'm thinking so that I can move forward. So it can be simply recognizing I got all this, stop and push the pause button, take a deep breath. What is a decision I can make in this moment that would free up that energy to be able to help me go forward? And I found this quote the other day talking about indecision is actually the most expensive option. Being inactive is expensive. I think all of us could probably recognize a decision that we, could have made in business or in life that really would have created more income or something more that could have happened, and it passes by. So the key thing is, and we're going to learn about how do we really know how to make that decision from ourselves that's authentic. But the key is, the cool thing is, if you try something, you make a decision with what you have at that time. And that's all we do have. So many of us want to figure out all the pieces of how am I going to make that decision? We need to have all the information. We're never going to have that. You make the decision based on what you have with where you are. And so if you try and it works, you win. And if you try and it doesn't work, guess what? You still win. This is where the failure comes in. Failure is feedback. Now you have more information to make the next decision. Whoops, I just popped myself here. So we want to be able to make the decision as best we can, and the momentum starts building when you keep those decisions moving. Okay, this didn't work, but what's next? Decide for the next step. Okay, this did work. Woo, I'm on my way. And there's a key thing that we're going to talk about that helps us with those decisions and helps us to cut away things that don't match in a moment. So indecision creates drag energy. We don't need drag. Oh, and I come from that movement background. You want to shake it off, that drag energy, so you can have more clarity of thought. Do whatever you can to center yourself. Some of you do, other movement kinds of things, meditation to help us get centered, because we have an inner voice that speaks to us. And I'm going to speak about that in a moment, that really helps us with those decisions to move forward. So why is it crucial for us to have, good decision-making, processes? No new path can be forged without a decision. I was at this conference. I was a leader in direct selling. I was a top producer for many years, but there was something missing. And so I was at this conference to increase my vision, because I was leading a team of 65 people. And I knew that always as a leader, you got to be the example. And I knew that either increase my passion for what I'm doing, or there's something else. And at that conference, my vision got really clear that I really wanted to speak and give back to people to help them find their passion and purpose. And so that decision propelled me forward and helped me step into the momentum of where I'm going. And it freed up my energy that had been clogged, I'll tell you, for many years, because that was that good being the enemy of great. Things were good. I could make my own schedule and all of that, but there was still something clogging it. So making that decision unclogged it and helped me move forward. And then what happened was I had no idea what the next step was, other than I was going to get certified. But once a decision is made, it's amazing, and you're clear on where you're going, all sorts of circumstances and people and things that support that decision start coming around. And this is where the momentum builds, but you got to catch them. You got to pay attention to those things that are coming your way, and then get into action. Got to get into action. The things come and you got to get into action. So the momentum starts going. An interesting thing, this last line down here is we're the only creatures that can really create our own environments, that can make decisions about how to create the environment, create the life that we love. Animals are just going along with the environment. They're following their instincts, but we have choices. So think about the power of that. Every single day, you have the power to decide what kind of day you're going to have. You get to decide what kind of week you're going to have. Literally decide. I talk about, some of you have heard this before. You write your to-do list. How many of you have you write your to-do list every morning, right? Then the second part of it, and what is even more important, is actually to write your to-be list. Who are you going to be today? You decide in the morning. You decide how your day's going to go by how you claim it in the morning. I'm going to be, going along with this theme, I'm going to be a good decision maker today. It puts your brain on high alert. When the conscious mind speaks something, the subconscious is going, okay, there's a reticular activating system that's like, okay, well, I'm going to help Tamara be a better decision maker today. I'm going to be a person of confidence. I'm going to be a person who's giving a good speech today or a good presentation today. You claim it. It's a decision, and it brings an amazing energy. So I'm going to encourage you to think about that. Who are you going to be today? That's decision. You get to decide how your day goes. I'm going to enjoy it. It's going to be a beautiful day. I'm going to decide that I'm going to meet someone that crosses my path that's going to make a big impact in my day, for my life, for my business. Okay. So traits of a good decision maker. Successful people, Napoleon Hill, Anybody heard of Think and Grow Rich? You've heard of that. Napoleon Hill was designated by Andrew Carnegie to study successful people. And what he found was successful people make decisions quickly and they don't change their mind very often, as opposed to those that take a long time making the decision and then they're changing their mind all the time. Think about that. They're clogging the field. The actual story was with Andrew Carnegie meeting with Napoleon Hill. Napoleon Hill thought he was interviewing Andrew Carnegie. Actually, Andrew Carnegie invited Napoleon Hill to come over for the weekend. And he had a mission he wanted Napoleon Hill to do. He wanted him to study successful people for 20 years. And he would provide him with all the resources and all the people that he would speak with. And then he wanted him to write a book. And guess what? And then he said, he proposed this to Napoleon Hill, and then he said, and you won't be paid for it. Think about this kind of decision. You're going to interview for 20 years successful people. Napoleon Hill barely had a cent to his name. He had a wife, I think he had a small child at home. And he's being asked by one of the richest men in the world to do this project, and he wasn't going to get paid. So this is what Andrew Carnegie was doing. He presented it. He had a stopwatch under the table. He was going to give Napoleon Hill a minute to make the decision. If he didn't make the decision in a minute, he's not going to get the project. Napoleon Hill, 35 seconds in, I'll do it. And now we know he created so many more millionaires, way more, thousands of millionaires more than Andrew Carnegie, and was extremely successful. He went with his gut instinct. He made the decision. He was a quick decision maker, and what an amazing opportunity that was for him. Now, the key thing is he started with the clear goal. He was going to be exposed to all these successful people. So I'm sure he was thinking in his mind, well, I'm going to learn something here. So good decision makers, the way you're good decision makers is you need to know where you're going. You got to be clear. And oftentimes people start the new year and they think they've made a big goal and they've decided what they're going to do. But if it's not crystal clear and is fuzzy, you're going to get fuzzy results. So you got to have clarity. Good decisions makers have those good, clarity of goal. They also have a strong self-image. They believe and they raise their image to the level of being that successful person of where they're going. Napoleon Hill, he was stepping into that higher level of himself, collaborating with this rich gentleman. So I share here that we can't outperform our self-image, but we can change it. And this is something we do when we're looking at vision and up-leveling to the next level, so you don't feel like the imposter syndrome. But good decision makers are, they have strong self-image, and they focus on more of the positive, expansive thinking, and they don't get bogged down by the negative. We could get up today and we could talk about all the negative things that happen. Oh, my internet's not working. It could, today's a beautiful day, but it could be another day, and we can get all festered in that. And I talk about the fact that where your attention goes, energy flows. So we want to be impeccable with our thinking, and decision makers stay in that more positive mode, so they can make decisions from that. If you're in that lower energy and lower, you're going to make decisions down here. And the key thing, as I've mentioned, not afraid to fail. This is new to me. Well, not really new. I've kind of known about it, but I heard of this dad who used to say to his kids when they came home from school, how many times did you fail today? Can you imagine? I didn't do that as a parent, but what a good idea. Because again, we want to build resilient kids. We want to help them be a soft place to fall for themselves and a soft place to fall in the world, that actually failure is part of success. It's going to give you more information. You're going to step out there and take risks, make the decision that you can make while you can, right? With what you have, and you'll see. So John Maxwell wrote a book, failing faster, or, something about falling down and, failing forward, that's it. So successful people fail more often. So if you're not failing very much, you're not stepping out there, and you're not maybe getting the full information that you might need to be a good decision maker. So let's lean into this whole idea of how thoughts and your vision do relate to your decision making. Um, Really, it's important for you to know where you're going and have clarity of thought. I have this great story that I heard about the man who was carving the bust of Lincoln. And actually, kind of an interesting thing, my nephew got married at this place in Massachusetts where the sculptor of the Lincoln Memorial did his work. And I saw a mini version of the Lincoln Memorial in his place. So they shipped it on trains and everything down to DC. Really exciting. So he was carving the bust of Lincoln, and his maid, the cleaning lady, would come in periodically. And initially, she just saw this block of marble, and then eventually, she was like, "Oh, I recognize that. That's Lincoln." And she said to him, "How did you know Lincoln was in there?" And he said, "I just carved away everything that wasn't Lincoln." Carved away everything that didn't match his decision of what he was making. Think about that for yourself. Carve away once you know where you're going. The decision making gets easier because you know where you're going and you can say no to things that don't match. You're carving away. One of the things, just a simple thing, is I made the decision not to watch news late at night. That's not serving me in my mindset at that time of night. Or sometimes there's people we're hanging around with that are in the service of where we're going. So cutting away, it happens more easily when you know where you're going. And the key piece is here, why people sometimes get held up with decisions. They want to know the how. I can't make that decision because I don't know how. All you need to know is the what, and the how comes after the decision. This is where we're going to lean into intuition and coming back to our instinct that we knew we have as a part of us working for us every day when we tune into it. So the vision gives you the map to follow and will make decisions become easier, leading you to the momentum. So let's talk about this. I bring this whole thing about decision to you because I've been studying it and practicing it more, and I really want the same for you, to make it more in your awareness about how powerful your mind is that's already at work for you, and it's as loud as and you're willing to listen to it. So it's intuition. This is that instinct that I was talking about earlier. We were born with this. So it starts with you can some of you have very fine-tuned intuition. You might hear a voice, you might hear a hunch, or have a dream. Now the key is we're getting these messages all the time, and the key is, are you taking the step that you're hearing this calm voice share? And there's a difference between our negative, we have thoughts going on all the time. There's a difference between that clutter and that calm voice of wisdom that just knows. Um, I was sitting in that chair at this conference, and this voice said, get up, go to the back of the room and at least find out about this. And I listened. I could have been like, no, I don't have the money. But I listened. And if I look back, just like Steve Jobs talks about, if I look back over time, I've made several career changes and they all came from my inner voice speaking to me. So it's powerful and it has wisdom. And if we can learn to listen for the answer, trust it, and then take the step, this is where the momentum really starts happening. This is where acceleration starts happening. And the way you can practice listening more, if you don't feel like you're really hearing much from your intuition. Edison used to do this. I studied with John Maxwell, and he said, have a thinking chair. I have a thinking chair over in the corner, and that's where I will ask a question. I'll just pause for a moment. Christina, was that a 5-minute? No. Okay. I heard someone, so I wasn't sure.
It's technically in 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay. Okay. So we're building momentum here. Sit in your thinking chair, ask a question, and sit. Your inner voice will start speaking to you. Okay. Listen to your intuition. So you make a decision. The decision starts decision to listen to intuition, right? And then you sit and listen, the answer comes, and then you step into it. So how do you become a better decision maker? Have a vision, keep it in front of you, fall in love with it so it's energized. You're not going to make decisions for something you don't love. So you got to know where you're going. It's a business decision, might be personal. Mentally rehearse it so it feels really good. You're really energized for it. Listen to your intuition. Make the decision to step forward in the now. Delay is a killer. It's killed so many dreams. You got to decide in the here and now. That's where the momentum starts happening. Do what you can from where you are with what you have and start now building momentum. Growth doesn't start until you do. People get paralyzed by planning. Growth is getting going and having mobility. Forward motion is the fastest education. Intuition is on your side. Listen and keep a ball in motion and keep it rolling. You want to keep that all rolling. So we'll begin to wind it up. Just some great quotes. You can read the first two. The last one I'm going to focus on is Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said, once a decision is made, the universe conspires to make it happen. You got to make the decision and go forward. Powerful mental move that you make in a millisecond that will move you forward and resolve lots of problems. Make the decision. Decide that you're going to be a great decision maker and act upon it. Know what you want, decide it shall happen, act upon it, decide to be a good decision maker and build that momentum. And so I leave you with this, and it's invitational. But again, we're here. Your time is precious. Take it on maybe as an experiment. Decide to be a good decision maker every day. Make that more of a conscious thing. Be more aware of how you're making your decisions, make your decisions, be a detective of it. And then the key one is to send you off with, what is one decision that if you made it today could change the trajectory of your life even now? There's more decisions. We've made big ones. There's more to come. Decide to make it happen. So thank you. Thanks. And I don't know, Christine, if we have time for questions. I know we're getting to the.
Technically, we got 2 minutes of questions. Any questions?
All right, let me stop sharing and come there. Here we go. Any thoughts or questions or ahas that came?
Oh, Angel, I saw a little hand raised there. Go ahead.
Oh, is that me?
Oh,
Or is that Angel?
Angel? Yeah, I saw one hand.
Go ahead.
So what actually came to mind when we first started talking is in board games, we talk a lot about AP, analysis paralysis. And they're the people who play a game and they just take forever to make their decisions, to make their turns. And then there's people like me who are just like, you know, there's stuff going on in my head, but I'm much more instinctive in, you know, making decisions and moving. And obviously that, you know, applies more broadly. But I also aware that there's a balance in terms of sometimes you shouldn't rush to make a decision because it does take more, like my husband he suffers from analysis paralysis, but he's also more thoughtful in some of his decision-making process than I am sometimes. So just finding that balance, that time doesn't mean you're indecisive.
Right, and we're not talking about like making crazy decisions without having some semblance, but the key is that we trusting that there's an inner guide that actually is right there and it can tell you in a moment. And there's a great question that you can ask in any moment. What would I love here? What would I love to do here? And trusting, there's a trust that happens, trusting, even though, because for me, I've made some money decisions and, you know, almost breathless because this was not a cheap thing for me to step into. And I trusted my instinct that, you know what, if I don't do this, literally, I felt like I was going to feel like I was dying inside. And I knew that once the decision was made, this is trusting that everything else will come. I will find my way. And the more you practice that, you begin to trust that more. And that's what I've been doing, trusting and things come because you'll be supported. So I don't know if that helps, but the board game thing is a great example of how you practice making decisions.
Suzanne, did you have a comment or a question?
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking as Tamara was talking about one of my favorite quotes. I have it. Of course, I don't have it now, but it's usually sitting right in front of me. But it revolves around the irony of making a commitment. A lot of people feel when they make a commitment, oh no, now I'm locked in. But it actually is a liberating experience to make that commitment, because you're now kind of freeing your head from your heart, and you're saying, well, I'm doing it. So I'm going to get my head out of the way and let my heart lead me to what I need to do.
I love it, Suzanne. And that's, I've had that as a theme in my other business before. It's a heart decision within 24 to 48 hours. After that, it becomes a head decision, and that's where all the clutter starts happening. So
Yeah.
the intuition, and actually there's a whole institute called the Heart Math Institute that I love hearing about that. That's really our core. If we can really listen to the piece of us that's speaking of what I would love, and trust that, it guides you where you need to go.
Mhm.
There you go. I'm gonna stop the recording. I know we're kind of getting to some